back to Just a Sister thing, and this is my little crafty corner. I wanted to take a minute and show you one of my favorite things to do in many of my journals. So this is what I like to call a trifold. It opens like this, and it has all these pockets and writing spaces in it. And the way that I do, I assume other people do trifolds, I don't know, but the way that I do mine, once you take everything out and you look down on it, you have a perfectly cascading picture. The pockets are very camouflaged unless you put stuff in it. And so that is what I'd like to show you how to do today. Relatively simple. You need 4 sheets of one paper, or I can preface this by saying you actually need 3 sheets of one paper. I always have one for accents and accidents. So I took the liberty of printing out my paper that I'm using for this Book of Shadows junk journal, and I went ahead and cut my pages so that you wouldn't have to go through the agonizing delay of me cutting them. So I have this beautiful, I think that's a crescent moon? I don't know. Crescent? Sounds right. Paper that I'm going to use for my cascade. And then I have all the other halves that I cut off, and I'm going to use those for accents and pockets and stuff. This is all Leanna scraps off of Etsy, and I've been using her pretty consistently through excuse me, most of the journal that I'm working on. So I printed one paper page of one set that I liked, and then I also cut a cardstock, printed a cardstock page as well, because I'm going to use these for those accents. So we can put those to the side right now. The one thing you're going to need is 3 envelopes, and I like to use 3 envelopes that are all the same size. These are from probably, I don't know, Christmas cards or something, but you can also use the long envelopes that come in the mail. You can use junk mail that already have a window in them. You can, the world is your oyster. You just need 3 that are very, very close in size. You're going to need some double-sided tape, probably a glue stick. No, probably we're going to need that. You know, scissors, cutters, bone folder if you have one, if not, scissors, and probably Fabri-Tac. That little lace just jumped right in there. Okay, so you're going to start with 3 envelopes, and the way that you got to kind of reason this out is 2 envelopes are going to face the same direction. The flaps are going to face the same direction. The other envelope is going to face the opposite direction. So if you start out with that, you're doing good. And you flip them over, and all we're going to do is we're going to put the main one on these pages, always making sure that one envelope flap faces the opposite direction. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward it because I know that's also like watching paint dry. So I'm going to get busy. Okay, I'm so sorry. I thought I was filming and something happened and I wasn't filming. So I did tape my paper onto 2 of my envelopes before I realized that. So I have 2 envelopes that have the paper on them. I have 1 envelope that does not have the paper on it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure my 2 flaps are facing this way with the paper up. This one is facing this way. So what I usually do is to make sure that I put this corner on the right corner, I always mark that corner so that I know this is where this is going to go, like that, like so. And then when I flip it over, my flap is going to be in the right direction. So I did waive all of the unexciting taping and gluing, but I'm going to just go ahead and do this one as quickly as I can. It is important to pick one corner of the envelopes and match that corner every single time, because if you don't, you're going to get some wonky picture like Andy Warhol or something. And what we want is precision on this little setup for a change. Okay, so I just used double-sided tape because I like my edges to be sealed. I want to make sure that this is not going to wear up over time, because this little pocket gets a lot of use. Get on there. And I don't know, I just don't have a lot of confidence when it comes to using the glue stick, because even though it sticks really well, I'm always afraid that it's going to wear up on the edges. And I know that this stuff here is so tacky that once it's down, it's pretty much down. I recommend using pencil and marking your envelopes so that you don't have to redo that. The middle envelope is the one that gets you every time, because it'll end up facing the wrong direction. So I've got my little marking here. I know that this is where I need my corner to be. And another way to do that without doing all three at the same time is to do envelope number 1. That's a little gloopy. And then envelope number 2, and just make sure you're laying it out correctly that way. But in this instance, roll that tape back on there. In this particular instance, I'm going to do them one at a time, and I'm going to, or, you know, do all 3 envelopes at the same time. So I've got my mark here. I know that this page, this corner, is the corner that is going to get matched up. And I'm going to flip this over in a minute and show you why this is important to do the corners. Picked up a fuzzy. Okay, so the reason it's important to start with those corners is because I never have my paper. The paper always prints out just a little bit bigger than what I actually need. So I always want to make sure that when I go to trim this off, which I will trim that right now. When I go to trim that, the top doesn't matter. And actually, if it's not perfectly cut, it also doesn't matter, because we're going to cut off the whole half of that envelope. So I'm not going to go far with that. So then what you have here is you have, say this is going to be my base, and this is going to open like this, and then a paper is going to go over this, and this is going to get glued to a piece of cardstock, right? So my odd man out is number 2, and he is going to slide onto that one, right? Okay. And then envelope number 3, which is why I trimmed them all down so I could assemble it and show you. I sliced that open, but that's not a big deal, because I'm going to be doing different stuff over top of it anyhow. So envelope number 3 will go here. So you got this, opens to this, it will open to your paper here, and thus we have assembled it correctly. So like I said, it's easier to do two envelopes, set them to the side, flip them over, and then start your markings on your 3rd envelope, which is going to be just the opposite. Gotta get some tape on that one. Okay. So that is all step 1. Step 2 is figuring out which one is going to be your base, and I'm just going to use this one. So what I'm going to do is this one is going to be whole. I'm going to take a wee little bit off the top because it's going to open from the top. So I'm just going to barely a sliver off of that just to open it up. Now it opens, and you will notice that it kind of opens like that all the way. That's okay, because we're going to fix that. But what I do want to do here, I wasn't sure if I was going to find my little thingy. I'm going to ink inside on the back because I'm going to cut a keyhole in here, or, you know, a little fancy schmancy. And I want that, when I cut it, I want it to have background paper. So I'm going to do that with all 3 of these. So this is going to be my main card. Make sure we get the right one for the second one. And it is, because it opens opposite. This is going to be my middle card. And I just kind of want to, like a halvesy. Maybe not even a halvesy, maybe a little bit over. And this, and you're always cutting from the top down because the bottom we want completely lined up every time. So this little guy here is going to go here. And you can see the moon is starting to line up here. It will line up better when I get it glued in. This is no longer any good. You can use it for a pocket for something. You can use it for a scrap, whatever. And this is going to be our little baby pocket. Okay, so our middle pocket is, let's see here. Oh, we'll do it in centimeters. It is 11.5 centimeters. Oh, 11 centimeters. So we just want it a little bit shorter. So I would say 9, I'm going to say between 8 and 9. Let me flip that over. Sorry. All my glues are in the way. Okay, so it is 4.5 inches. I don't want to go quite in half because I don't want a teeny tiny envelope. So I'm going to say let's go to 3. 3 is a good number because we're going to do more decorations on that front one than we do on basically anything else. So I'm going to take this, again, I'm going to cut off the top, not the bottom. Oh my goodness, get on there. Okay. Okay, again, good for scraps. And this little guy is, he's wompy. He's very wompy. But what we're going to do is the same thing here. We're going to ink this. This is personal choice. When you cut your little half moon out, you can cut both pages. It doesn't matter. For this one, just because it's a little blendy, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the front of the half circle out. So it doesn't have to be neat. It just has to be discolored. Okay, I think we're done with that for a minute. So we got the back page. It's going to flip on to your cardstock. We got our second page. That is going to attach itself to this envelope, and then we're going to attach this one. I gotta put a little bit of washi tape on that. I'm not sure why that came apart like that. Oh joy. That's okay. You know what? I don't want that one because it's a little too monochromatic. Let me use something. Okay. I want a nice fat piece, but I also want something that's kind of dark like this. So all I'm going to do is take a little piece of washi tape. I'm going to trim that off. Sometimes that happens, and again, it's not a big deal because we're covering these completely, so it is okay. It's going to be fine. Put that there. So you're never really going to see that. Let me make sure it's strong enough because sometimes washi tape isn't the strongest. Yeah, that is peeling off of there pretty easy, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue down. For my own peace of mind, so it doesn't fly off of there later. Okay, so we're good. I'll probably do the same thing with that other flap. Alright, and normally I ink in there anyhow, so that's okay. Easy fix, easy peasy. So what we're going to do here, this little card, this one is going to go right inside of here. So it's kind of hard to see, but what we're going to do, once we start assembling it and gluing it together, we're going to do a half moon, a half circle here, 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 so that you can see where it's at. I'm going to wait until it's perfectly glued because that could be problematic if you don't have these lined up perfectly. Okay, so this big guy we don't really need to do anything with for a little bit. And we are going to work with our little front piece. And what I like to do, and I hate to say this, but I got to bring out the big scissors. I know my plates look like, oh, they look bad. Try not to look at them. And what we're going to do is, I like to cut a little frame in here. And to do so, you kind of got to take this envelope apart. And hopefully there's not so much glue that it rips everywhere. This one's coming apart pretty good. Again, we're going to reinforce it anyhow. We're going to put other paper, maybe cardstock, whatever, on that, so you don't have to worry about it. But what I don't want to do is cut 2 holes. Been there, done that. Okay, I have these cute little frames. I think I'm going to use one of them. I have made these where I've put 2 little holes in it, equally pretty. So, what I'm going to do is put this on the plate, and I never know what plates to use. I just kind of wing it. But that's where I want my window to sit. You kind of hear that little crack. That means that it has cut through that paper. And it has cut it. And it cut a little frame and a little piece out of there. Super cute. Okay, let's get rid of this. Takes up my whole workstation. I think I've talked about this in other videos maybe, but I buy these little Dollar Tree photo albums, and I keep my I cut off magnet strips and I keep them in there, and it holds all of my little frames and little Sizzix cutters. Love it. Alright, so here's what we're left with. We've cut this hole. I always go back and I try to place that back in there. And that is why I don't really trust the corners of my pages with the glue stick, because I just feel like it never really sticks good enough for heavy use. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back in there. There is a method to my madness. I know that there are real thick, heavy ones like this, but this is not that kind of project. This is a little light window. And just packaging is fine. As long as it doesn't have wrinkles and it's nice and clean, I think you'll be fine. The trick is, you want to put a bead of glue pretty close to the edge of this. But not so close it oozes over. Then, bearing in mind that we are also going to keep cards in this little side, you want to make sure that you can slide a card in and out easily without it getting stuck. So I'm going to put this little window in. I'm going to squoogee it out. Make sure it goes in the opposite direction and not onto the front of the card. I don't know why I keep calling it a card. It's a card holder. It's a pocket. Just kind of smooth that out there. And then we are going to take our knife. I'm going to let this dry for a second. We're going to take our knife and we are going to slice this off of here, and it should be sealed. Okay, so we've got my little tiny cutting board here, and I want to take off this cellophane, which hopefully my blade is sharp enough. I've used it so much this past week. Okay, so we got some fuzzies on there, but otherwise it is done. So we're going to put a card in here. We're going to make a card. But in the meantime, when the card is not in there, you have a nice clean space. That's kind of the whole point. And so what I want to do is, normally this little flap would be on the inside, but when you kind of abuse it the way that I just did, it has a tendency to get rough and then your cards don't fit in there nice. So what I'm going to do is glue that down, being careful not to hit that. Yeah. And so now we have our surface that we're going to work on. Okay. This piece here, which now of course I have tape on it, but has the envelope ends over here, which I put cellophane on there of course, so it's kind of hard to see, but the envelope ends here. And we're going to cover this, but what we don't want to do is we don't want to cover this little area in here, because this is no longer part of the equation. It's going to go on the back of the other envelope. And you can see the cellophane there. If you glue in here, then you're only going to have an envelope that works to there. So what we're going to do is find a nice piece of cardstock here. This is going to be on the inside. And we're going to finish that. And you know what I might do? I think I'm just going to use paper, because I'm going to put a pocket on there. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so I'm just kind of creasing this a little bit so I can see where my envelope ends. So that looks pretty straight. I almost feel like I'm confident that I could have cut that by hand, but I'm not. I've gone too far already. I can't go back at this point. Okay, so this is my piece of paper that I liked. We're going to use this for more stuff. And we're going to put this down right over this. Like that. Yeah. going to be nice. So, well, you know, we can use the tape. Why not? We can use the tape. And being very careful to avoid this edge, because we're going to go in and fix that in a minute. We want the envelope to still be functional. And what I'm going to do is take my fine point here, and I'm just going to I'm going to hold this up so I can see where I'm gluing. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, and I'm also going to put a little bit of glue here and follow the line of that envelope so that we don't glue our envelope shut. And then this piece that I have cut, this piece right here, I'm going to match up to this corner because I'm very big on matching corners here. Smudge it down. Okay. I didn't cut it very neatly, so I'm gonna trim that. We won't panic. Not panicking yet. Whoops. Panicking now. Can't cut straight. But take that edge off, just like so. Okay. Take that little piece off. I'm always a little bit jealous when I watch some of the other junk journal makers. They are so accurate with their little scissors. But I'm just happy if I don't hurt myself. Okay. Alright, so that is now a nice little pocket, which I'm opening it too soon. It's got to dry. And again, this where I taped is hardly going to show whatsoever. So I always put a little pocket on here. And I think what I'm going to do is I printed this out twice. So I'm going to actually do a coordinating little pocket, just like so. And I actually might feel confident enough to just cut it. I'm cutting up higher than I need. Well, I say that, but maybe I'm not. I hope I am. Yeah, it's bigger than what we need. And so I'm just going to keep that kind of all the same to where it blends in. And what I'm going to do, please observe that it is crooked, by the way. So I'm going to have to trim that. Okay. Oh, what a sound. Okay, so I don't know how high it is, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is cut a little, yeah, right about there. Cut a little half circle out. And that way I can ink it before I put it on there. Pop that on here like that. I had to open my window for newbie. And that sound that you can probably hear is we have a lot of train. We have we live about less than a mile probably from a railroad, a massive set of railroad tracks. So we do get a lot of train noise, and that's that sound. Just kind of eyeballing this because I'm actually not sure how wide it is, but I'll just roll the glue back off. So I'm gonna match up my little flowers. Yep, that's our train. And he's over there pouting, sitting in the window being mad because I won't let him jump on all the stuff. Okay. All right. So for all intents and purposes, we have our first little pocket done. The next step is going to be, let me make sure I got it right, I do, this little pocket. Now that it's all decorated and everything, it's all good, we're going to go ahead and attach it because we're going to decorate that's Newbie. He's a little concerned about the train noise. He's in the window, he hears the train, he doesn't know if he's in danger. We're going to glue down that flap. Well, I got glue everywhere. Okay, so always make sure there's a little tiny gap, not a big one, just a little one, so that it will roll over it nicely and match up. See, your tree is stem, whatever that branch is, neatly matched up. And make sure your pocket is straight. Okay. Now we have the same situation. So we have this here. Okay. We have that part of the pocket that we don't want to put any glue in there because you'll seal the pocket up. So I'm going to hold that up a little bit. What I do with my piece of paper. Is that it? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that. And get it in there nice and tight where I put that glue. So we have the pocket now because we've sealed this side. That's a good solid pocket there. Now, okay. So we'll have the pocket here, and I usually put a pocket this way as well. And I think I might, in keeping with my little thing that I've already started here, like I could do a coordinating one, but that might be a little bit wonky. I actually think I'm seriously thinking I'm gonna just cut a piece of this out and match it. Let me look at that again. Yeah, so I think I want it to come out to about halfway through this bottle. So that is what I'm going to do. And it goes a little bit above it. Because if I can preserve this, I might as well. There's no point in ruining that. And we can take it down to that. And we can trim it the rest of the way. And we can do a little matchy thing there, and I can cut that off the top. So I'm pretty good with that. Now this I'm cutting out of cardstock, and that was out of paper. Just so we're all on the same page. And this is going to sit here, and I'm concentrating here on lining up the bottle. I'm okay if it's short here because I don't want to interfere with the folding of this flap. So that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to make my little mark here. Cut my little half moon. And ink it up so it's able to be detected. That's the most important thing. And it looks like my paper lines up pretty good. And I think we're good to go. Let me put a little mark up here. So now we have a pocket here. So let it dry. Pocket here. A pocket here. And a pocket right there. Okay, moving right along. So I'm going to save all these little scraps because you know, we'll be making little cards to go in here. He is going to go like this. And you want to make sure that you snug this up pretty good, but you got to leave that little teeny tiny, like a millimeter of space right there. I don't even really run the glue all the way to it. I leave that little space there for glue as well, because it's going to ooze. Okay, that should be pretty good. Okay, so we've got the basic construct now. This opens like that. This is going to go on the page, and it's also going to flop open like that. So what we need to do is we're going to do the same thing we did with the other ones. We're going to take this, so that for you, then you don't have to do this. We're not going to put any glue in here, and we're going to cover this page. But I do have this. That is pretty. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to use this. I think this is really pretty. And I like that she had gold foil, and I'm going to gold foil this as well. So I think I'm going to go with one of these. They're very pretty. We're still going to use this. We're going to use it in a different way. Easy peasy one right here. we're just going to do the double-sided tape. I went too far, so I got to back up a little bit. So I did go over my mark. That's my buddy newbie trying to get in on it. The train has left the vicinity, so he's fairly certain he is going to survive. Now he would like to be in on the taping. So again, we have this kind of loose. When we glue down our paper, it will bind it and hold it where it needs to be. And this is curved, so I really can't use my double-sided tape. So I'm just going to do the glue stick all the way to that line, get it on there. And a little bit of the Fabri-Tac, because I can make a fine point with that with my cake decorating bottle. Okay. Make sure I'm going the right way. I am. Okay. Line up your paper so you don't have a lot of cutting. Smush it down. So then we're ready to just cut that off of there. I'm going to cut it while my glue is drying to give it a minute to set. See, I got these little points here that kind of stick out, so you have to be careful. Not with that one, I'll just open it, but you have to be careful right there in that juncture, because you definitely don't want to cut that. So just lay that knife nice and flat, or if you're using scissors, that's fine too. If you have a lot of paper that's overhanging, it's no big deal. You can, oops, wrong thing. Take sandpaper, sanding block, and kind of just sand them off. That does work. We're going to definitely ink it all because it's kind of bright white, and that I don't like, so we're going to do that. And see, I did. I told you to be careful, and then I cut right through it. That's okay. Easy remedy. Easy peasy. Okay. And that is your basic trifold. We've got our coordinating little papers here. We have the nice cascade effect where the picture remains the same until it's opened. And what we're going to do now, that's all nice and stuck. So the next step is to get our piece of cardstock. Now I take my cardstock, coffee diet, tea diet, eco diet, whatever, however, or just plain old white. That's okay too. But this is going to be, I typically do this and it goes in the center of my signature. If I do 4 or 5 signatures, this will be the center of one. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this because it'll be easier to do it before I put this on. Okay, we've gotten this far. We're almost done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, you know, close to the edge. We're going to glue this piece down. Everything will fold open at that point. You could use double-sided tape. Considering that we're going to reinforce it with another piece of paper, you probably could just use your glue stick. That would probably be okay too. So this kind of goes close to the edge for me. You can put it wherever you want. Glue it down. I'm going to use my bone folder on it because I really want to make sure it's down good. Okay. Then I told you I was going to use that pretty piece of paper. I thought that would be pretty right in there. It's a little too big. We're going to trim it. Okay. You know the routine. We are going to have to use the double-sided tape. I do want to make sure that it stays down because it is the anchor for this set of envelopes. So I want to make sure that it is down enough that it's not going to lift. It's not going to let that set of envelopes shift. I'm a little bit crooked there. So I'm going to move it over a little bit. Okay. Yep. Oh my goodness, I did not even plan that, but look how nice that lines up. Oh, happy accidents. I love it. Okay. So, we have one more thing we got to do, and then we are going to ink it. So, I want to make sure that... Okay, so we're at 5.5 inches. So, no, I'm sorry, 5 inches. So at 2.5 inches, I want to make a little mark on the top of each one of these little guys. There, and there. I'm going to eyeball it, make sure we're lined up pretty good. I think we are. It's easier to double check than to redo all the pockets. Yeah, it's lined up. Okay, where are you? Yep. Okay. And I did say that I was going to only punch the front because I kind of like it when the back shows a little bit. It does disrupt that complete. Get that out of there. It breaks it up a little bit, and otherwise it's completely camouflaged. It gets a little dangerous. You can't find your. So I'm opening these. I hope you can see that I'm opening these. Slipping my little puncher in there. Popping them out. And then we have that little half moon there. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my inker. I'm going to ink everything. And it goes on pretty fast. But I'm not going to torture you with that, because it's still going to take a hot minute. And this is Monday, and what I'm going to do is Tag Along Tuesday is going to be finishing all the decoration, because this was a long video. We're going to finish up all the decorations, and we are going to make some cute little tags to go in here. That's my game plan. Short of a meteor coming or something. So that's what I plan on doing. And I will see you.